and welcome to my islands. I'm here at the Tower of London, but we're not doing a video about the Tower of London today. I'm here with my friend Nick, who's helping me out with the sound, so that should be good. And we're doing a video about the Roman Wall of London, and we can travel around and see what's remaining, what can we see, and tell you a little bit about it. So the reason I'm here at the Tower of London is that there's a postern gate here, which is actually medieval, but it's kind of the end of the Roman wall as it stands, as it exists, because when the tower was built and subsequently expanded through the years, it cut through and cut off the Roman wall as it would have gone down to the River Thames behind me there. So we'll start here at the postern gate, and we'll tell you a little bit more as we go round, finding all the pieces of wall and telling you a little bit more about the wall itself. So this is the postern gate, as I say, medieval, just big enough for pedestrians, and standing on the edge of the moat of the Tower of London. Just a convenient way of getting in and out of the wall without having to go either across the moat, which was probably impossible in those days, or along to one of the main gates. As we go up, we'll see all of the main gates. There's 7 of them. A lot of them were changed when the walls expanded in medieval times, but we'll talk about that as we go around. Here at the statue of the Emperor Trajan, you can see probably the most impressive remains of the Roman wall here behind me. I don't think anyone really knows why this statue is here. Apparently it was found in a rubbish tip in Southampton and then restored and put here, but it's believed that the head and the body don't even match. So, and Trajan himself never visited London, so I'm not quite sure why it's here, but it does mark the wall. And you can see behind, you can see the red brick coursework there. All of this, so the first sort of 4 metres of the wall from the current ground level is Roman, and then above that is anglo-saxon. When the wall was restored after Alfred the Great decided that it would be a good idea to re-fortify London and increase its importance. So the wall was built in 200 AD. There's a Roman fort that predates it by about 80 years on the northwest corner. It comes in an area of about 330 acres, which is about half a square mile, and it runs from here, from the tower, up and around, and then back down to the current day Blackfriars. Encompassed the city of London for about 2,000 years, and it wasn't until Tudor times that the city proper started expanding outside of the walls, and it still contains the City of London, as in the City of London Corporation, mostly within its walls. Now walking along Cooper's Row, and the next piece of wall we can see is a continuation, obviously, of the wall, but it's a fragment that's here in Leonardo Hotel. You can actually walk underneath the hotel and see the wall in the background, so that's what we're going to do now. So here, again, you can see the continuation of the wall. You can see the tower behind me there, and you can see right down here, and you can see the construction of the Roman part with the Saxon above. It's built of Kentish ragstone and the Roman tiles, obviously, and the Kentish ragstone was taken from a quarry in Maidstone near Kent, and barged down the Medway and then along the Thames to get here. Thousands and thousands of tons of stone removed that way in order to make the wall. But the interesting thing about this part of the wall is you can see the loopholes still here in the medieval part of the wall, and you can imagine up there the archers would have stood and defend the wall through the loopholes. And the other fun thing about this part of the wall is that you can actually walk right through it. So at the end of Cooper's Row, we see the road here, so we're roughly following the line of the wall, and we can see that this is called Crosswall. I think it's pretty obvious why it's called Crosswall. So we walk across Crosswall, and then we actually walk onto Jewellery Street, where there's an actual exhibition of the London Wall. But before we move into Jewellery Street, on Crosswall, there's this building here, which is One America Square. And if we walk along here, we can actually see a fragment of the wall through the windows. It's built into the building, but we can look through the window and see a small fragment. So let's go along there and have a look now. You have to look over this this parapet and then look down, and through that glass there, it's really hard to see unless you know what you're looking for, is a fragment of the wall. I'll zoom in here and you can just see it there through the glass. I think they've got some less lights on today. I've seen it better than this before, but you can just see a fragment, and you can see the way it's running here underneath the building and across Crosswall Street. If you walk down Crutchfriars Street, it leads on to Jewellery Street, and just at that point, because it's easy to miss, you look out for this plaque, for the London Walk plaque, and on the corner there's an exhibition, and you can see here that it's free to go in, but you have to book, and it appears to be closed today. So I've not been in. It might be worth a visit if you can see, but you can see the wall through the window, and there's quite a big chunk of it there. Here we are at Aldersgate, the site of it. You can see it was demolished in 1760. Geoffrey Chaucer once lived above the old gate, and he was on to do collecting taxes, which is one of the reasons that the gates were there, because all goods had to come in through the gates into the City of London. So this road was the road to Colchester, or Londinium, I think I've got that right, which originally was the capital, the Roman capital. But after the Boudica revolt, they moved the capital city to Londinium, and subsequently built the wall to help protect the trade, but also as a defensive measure for the city, which was increasing in importance in AD 200. Here, out to the site of Aldgate, you can see some Butthole without Aldgate. This is because this was without or outside of the gate or outside of the walls, which was just over there. And the reason this particular church was built outside the wall was St Butthole is the patron saint of travellers and journeys, and also of boundaries. So people leaving the city on a journey would pop into St Butthole for a blessing to hopefully see them safe on their travels. And we'll be seeing some more of these types of churches as we move around the wall. Just coming off of Aldersgate Square, you can see this road called Hounds Ditch. Now the wall was on the outside, had a big ditch, obviously a defensive ditch, but in medieval times they used to throw all sorts of rubbish. So this road marks where that ditch was, and various theories as to why it got its name. Sometimes it's where they threw dead dogs, but also, and probably more plausible, there was all sorts of rubbish and stuff, scraps thrown down into the ditch, and packs of dogs used to roam around this area, scavenging through the rubbish in the ditch. So hence Hounds Ditch. But to move on following the path of the wall, we just need to step further west and go up towards London Wall. Before we get to London Wall, we'll pass by Bishopsgate, which is another gate. This was named after the medieval Bishop of London, and you can actually see over there a bishop's mitre that marks the spot where the gate used to be. And here we have another St Botolph's. This time St Botolph's without Bishopsgate. So it just goes to show how important the people of the time thought this saint was, that they put all these churches up dedicated to him. This is All Hallows on the Wall Church, on London Wall. So as you go past, you have a look at it. Obviously the name gives it away. It used to be built into the wall. This was rebuilt in the 18th century, but the original church that stood here before it was actually in the wall. And it has this little quirk that the priest, in order to get to the pulpit, had to actually go outside of the wall and up some steps to get back into the pulpit. Last couple of times I've been here, it's been closed. But I'm told that you can come in sometimes and maybe have a tour and have a look around. Might be worthwhile if you're passing and you see that it's open. Anyway, we're going to carry along London Wall, obviously named, and see you in a little bit. So this is Moorgate along London Wall. Not much left of it, obviously, as you can see, but you can mark by the pub called the Globe. This was likely to be just a small postern gate in the Roman wall, but by medieval times it had been enlarged and gave access out to the north of the city. The area beyond the city, now called Moorfields, was marshy and boggy, and this may have been caused by the Roman wall itself, because it had a damming effect on Walbrook, which was a stream that ran through and down to the river. And in fact, past St Paul's, there's a street that is called Walbrook now, heading in that direction. So from here we'll carry along London Wall, where there's some more remains, physical remains above ground that we can see. So if the commentary on the second half of this video is a bit different from the first, it's because we just had a rather nice lunch in the Globe, which incidentally, it stands on the site of the old Bedlam Hospital, the old Bethlehem Hospital. But yeah, very nice lunch, still on London Wall. we're going to go and find those remains of the wall just down the road here. We're here at St Alphage Gardens here. The remains of the church are over there, but here is the Roman wall. The top is actually, as you can see, by the brick, possibly with the little crisscross pattern in it. It actually dates from the Wars of the Roses, so it's Tudor. But quite impressive that this still remains here. We're just going to carry on a little way up London Wall. Hope to find a little tiny fragment somewhere quite unexpected, but if not, we'll carry on to the next part, because we're very near the Roman fort, which predates the Roman wall. So, of all places, I'm in the City of London Wall car park. And why am I here? Well, because we found another fragment of the London Wall in the car park opposite Bay 53. And it's quite a well-preserved piece of wall. You can still see the Roman causeway, probably even better than you could see it by the tower and the Kentish ragstone there. So, of all places, they've preserved a piece of the London Wall in a car park, who would have thought. So next we're going to the Barbican, and we'll see some more fragments there. We are by the plaque, at least, of the site of Cripplegate. The name Cripplegate probably has nothing to do with cripples. It's probably from the anglo-saxon crepel, meaning underground passage. And of course this was demolished in 1760, which is more or less when all the anglo-saxon gates were demolished. This one is right by the Barbican, and we'll have a look at some more decent pieces around here. Because we're getting onto the Roman fort now, and this sort of northwest corner of the wall. I'm up on the Barbican High Walk. The Barbican is a housing project that was made in the 1960s, I believe, due to the whole area being bombed out in the Second World War. But what they have preserved in the next to St Giles Church is quite a big section of the London Wall, and you get quite a good view from here. If we look down, not only can you see the wall, they've given a representation of where the moat used to be. So you can see the wall running along here, and where they've made this new water feature is where the moat outside, or the ditch outside the wall, used to be. So we walk further down because there's some more medieval battlements down here. So here you can clearly see one of the medieval bastions that was constructed here. It's probably one of the better preserved pieces of the wall, really, the medieval part anyway. I can't see any Roman parts of the wall here. And then in the background you have the Barbican development. It's all built in around these gardens here with the London Wall. So you have the the medieval, and that church I think is 19th century, and brutalist 60s architecture, all within a few yards of each other. So now across the road you might be able to just see the top of St Giles Church where we were, so across the London Wall into Noble Street, and here we find some other preserved walls. These were actually revealed during the Blitz because they'd been built upon over the years, and as the buildings above were demolished it revealed the remains of the London Wall underneath, and to the credit they've kept them here for everyone to look at and enjoy. And also this is part of the Roman fort, so it forms the northwest corner of where the wall runs. So we're now kind of heading south back towards the river. Most of what you can see here is more modern stuff built on top of the Roman wall, but it retains the shape of the original wall. And down here I'm told it's got the actual oldest piece of the wall still remaining, and it's just a square of foundation. Here we are at the site of Aldersgate. The plaque's over there by the pub. This is Aldersgate Street. Obviously not much left of this gate anymore, and we start to head over towards Smithfield. We're still in the kind of fort area from the original Roman fort. We'll soon be making our way south back towards the river. And still at Aldersgate, yet another St Butthole. This one's at St Butthole without Aldersgate. So Aldersgate must have been down there, and this was outside the walls again. Now we're approaching Smithfield. You can see the Smithfield market in the background there, and Smithfield itself is the wooded area in the middle, which is now a car park. This was outside the gates. This was used for public executions, but obviously the area over there was where the cattle and pigs and meat was brought into the city, hence the market was springing up. So here is a plaque for Wat Tyler and John Bell and the Great Rising in England, and they were executed here in Smithfield. And as we move along here, there's another memorial for William Wallace, who was also executed in Smithfield. And he's got a nice plaque here, a nicely worded plaque, but he didn't have a very nice end. He was hung, drawn and quartered. Also, as we walk along here, you can see these holes in the walls. These were caused by shrapnel from a bomb that hit this area during the Blitz, and it's quite extensive. I wouldn't have been wanted to standing in front of this wall when that happened. So, I don't know if you can see it, I'm zoomed in as far as this lens will go, but that's gilded statue on top of there is the statue of Justice, Lady of Justice, and that's on top of what's commonly known as the Old Bailey, which is the central criminal court. The Old Bailey gets its name from the road, the Old Bailey, which was also to do with the wall. So that is the running down the course to back to the river, and very soon we'll get to Newgate. So here we are at Newgate, which was the site of a notorious prison. Above the gate itself, the old gate, and the surrounding buildings, an infamous prison that wasn't very pleasant if you found yourself ending up there, which is kind of ironic. Its plaque is on the side of the Central Criminal Court, the Old Bailey. So, you know, Newgate Street, not much left of these gates down this side of the city, but you can still see the clues in the names as we go down to the next gate, getting closer to the river and closer to the end of this video. So here we are at the end of the Old Bailey, and we're coming onto Ludgate Hill, and you can see St Paul's Cathedral up there behind me. So this is more or less the site of the gate, and Ludgate Hill is one of two hills that the Roman city was built on. So Ludgate Hill and Cornhill, which is kind of over the other side there. We're coming to the end of what we can see of the wall, because from here at Ludgate, the wall went south to the river, but that was cut off because Edward I granted the Dominican friars, Black Friars, permission to build their whole complex down there. So there's nothing left of the original Roman wall to be seen. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's useful if you ever come to London and want to look up the fragments of the Roman wall. And I'll see you next time. If you like and subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll get notified of future videos. Thank you very much for watching.